Welcome students, myself Vignesh Ganeshan, Assistant Professor in Civil Engineering Department of Sobhasarya Group of Institutions. This semester I will be teaching you engineering mechanics. So before going into our lecture, first we will see what is mechanics and what are the topics that we will be dealing in our course. So in first mechanics, what do you mean by mechanics? Mechanics is actually the study of forces that acts on a body. It means when your body is in a state of rest condition or any object which is subjected to external forces. So we'll be seeing the reaction of the forces which acts on the objects. So the forces, when it acts on the object, what happens to the object? So the mainly we will use the law of mechanics, the fundamental law of mechanics, or we can say the Newton's law, the three principles, that is first law, second law and third law. We will be dealing those laws in briefly ahead of the lecture. So in today's lecture we will see the fundamental laws of mechanics, then what you mean by principle of transmissibility, then the system of forces when we have more than 2 or 3 forces acting simultaneously on an object or a particle. So how to resolve those forces for a simplification of problems, then how you can combining all the 3 or 4 forces which are acting on an object, we can derive one force that is called as a resultant force, which will be the summation of all the other forces. Then if you are having one force and if you want to break it into number of forces, that's called the resolution of forces. Then we will see Newton's laws, first, second and third. Then we will see parallelogram law of forces and triangle law of forces. Then some solved numericals dealing with those application of those laws. So in mechanics you can broadly classify the mechanics into like 3 types. You can roughly say it as a rigid body mechanics. Second, you can say deformable body mechanics, and third is the fluid mechanics. So in this subject, engineering mechanics, we will deal only with the rigid body mechanics. So first you have to know what you mean by rigid body, then you have to know what you mean by a particle, then what you mean by a force, then what are the units which you will use to measure these quantities, and so on. So in rigid body mechanics we will assume the basic condition is we will assume the body to be rigid. What you mean by rigid means we will not take into consideration the deformations or the small displacements which occur in the body. Like example, we can say on a table you are just keeping one glass of water. So this table we will assume it as a rigid body. It means due to this glass of water, the weight will act on the surface of the table. So, we will assume that there is no any deformation on the table. So, this can be either two clause, either the deformation is in very small or infinitesimal quantity where it is very minute, so that we can neglect it, or we can say that there is no any deformation caused by the object. So, we can say that that is a rigid body. So, when you consider both, means the forces which acts on the body as well as the deformation, which causes, which happens or which occurs in the body, so that we will deal in deformable body mechanics, or you can say strength of materials, SOM. So, in strength of materials, we will like you can say you will deal with the forces which is acting on the body plus the reaction, means due to these forces what are all the displacements, deformations, movements, what are the reactions due to the applied loads, we can say. So, we will consider both. So, that we can say it is strength of material or deformable body mechanics. And when you want to analyze the forces when it acts on a fluid, so that is called as fluid mechanics. So, in fluid mechanics, like there is a compressible liquid, there is incompressible liquid. So, these are the general, we can say the general classification of the bodies, means when you apply any form of force to any object, so that can be classified into the three major types: rigid body mechanics, deformable body mechanics, and fluid mechanics. So, here you can see mechanics, that it is further divided into statics and dynamics, then dynamics is further divided into kinematics and kinetics. So, all this comes under rigid body mechanics. So, in rigid body mechanics, we are interested only about the object, right? We are not interested about what happens after the application of force, how it deforms. We are only interested on when any external force, how to resolve it, and when it acts, how you want to solve it, analyze it. So, why it is like it is necessary? It is necessary because when, as an engineer, when you want to design any structure, like it can be anything, it can be some machine components, or it can be structural components, beam, columns, or anything. So, there you have to able to calculate and imagine the forces which will act on the structure after the structure comes live, means after the structure comes under use. So, in that you have to know both the loads and the geometry of the component or the structure. So, when you know both the forces which will be acting on the structure plus the geometry of the structure, means geometry means, like example, if you are designing a beam, so you know it is in rectangle shape, right? It is in rectangle shape, you know the cross section, this is the area, this is the length, like this is the width, this is the length, this is the breadth. So, when you know all the values, lengths, from that you can know the geometry, whether it is rectangle, then you can calculate its center of gravity, like that. So, when then the loads acting on it, whether it's a point load or it's some force is acting on the structure. So you can analyze it whether this section, this cross section which you have taken, means the length of the beam and the depth of the beam, whether it is enough or whether it will sustain the loads which will act on the beam. So for doing this analysis, like after analysis you will see that the beam is failing, or maybe the geometry, the dimension, the depth of the beam is not adequate. So after analyzing you will come to know that okay, the force, the loads are much more in intensity, so you need to like further increase the depth of the beam. So like that you can analyze and you can efficiently and economically design the structures. So for that you will be applying the law of forces, the engineering mechanics. It is the physical science. Physical science is the external forces, motion, like displacement. So you can see engineering mechanics is the study of forces that acts on body and the resultant motion that those bodies experience. Means it can be like a ball, which is a cricket ball resting on the ground. So we will see in ahead lectures, like it will be in rest, like unless it is acted by any force, it will not move from its place. So if someone pushes it or if you kick it, so now it will start moving or it will give you displacement. Means the starting position and the final position when it will come to rest. So you will know by how much distance it has traveled, like with what force you have kicked it, like with what force you have kicked the ball. So it will cover, like the more the force, the more the distance it will travel or it will displace. So this is what they actually want to mean it. Then engineering mechanics subject involves the application of principle of mechanism to solve real time engineering problems. Okay. Then when you deal with two things, like this condition, the ball was in rest condition, before you apply any force it was in rest condition. So when you deal with objects which are in rest condition, or you can say it is in uniform motion or uniform traveling with a uniform velocity, uniform motion, you can say those study, we can say it as statics, right? Statics is the branch of mechanics that deals with the study of objects at rest, or maybe under influence of force, means it is moving with a constant velocity. So you can say that you can assume it as like in a rest condition. Then you can see what are the actions on the body due to the external forces, how it behaves or how it rotates, how it displaces. So those kind of action, like you can see usually the rocket when it launches, right? We can say that the Newton third law is applied. Like if you want to push ahead against the gravity, so like equal and opposite force is applied, so you will get the equal push upwards. So like that we can say. Then in dynamics is the branch of mechanics that deals with the study of objects in motion and forces causing such motion. It means like if object is like traveling with some velocity, and suddenly if you give a push from another direction, then it will change its path of traveling, right? It will not go in this direction, but due to this force it will change its traveling path. So, when you study some objects which is under motion, or we can say also acceleration, because it will be changing the velocity will be changing from time to time, or with the time reference. After each second you can say it will be not constant, right? If it is constant, then it will be statics. So, when it is not constant, means it will be varying according to time. So, you can say it is having a variable velocity. So, dynamics is the branch in mechanics where you study the forces which acts on the body which are in motion. Then dynamics is again subdivided into kinematics and kinetics. So, you can see kinetics, just a second, I will zoom a bit. So, kinematics is the study of motion. Kinematics is the study of motion of bodies without consideration of the cause of motion. Kinematics deals with the space-time relationship of the motion of a body. Then some examples are displacement, velocity, acceleration. So, in kinematics you will only deal with the displacement of the body, but not of the force which is causing the body to displace, right? It means like the object is there and you are applying some force on it. So, you will not deal with these the forces, you are only interested in the object. Means after application of forces, how the object is going to displace, you are only considered, or you are only interested in those things, neglecting the forces which is causing the motion to happen in the object. So, in kinetics you will deal with both. You are interested in the force which is causing the motion as well as in the object which is getting displaced, right. So, kinetics is the branch of mechanics which deals with the study of the motion of the bodies by considering the cause of the motion, that is the force which is causing to move. Then now we have seen the classifications of the rigid body mechanics. Then now we are having you have to measure the force or some values. So, how you will measure? You need some units, measuring units for the measurement of the forces or any loads. Then we will have units of measurements. So, the first one is fundamental units. The fundamental units are the length, the mass and the time, right. Length, mass, time is considered as fundamental, and all the units which are derived from length, mass and time are called derived units. So, fundamental units, the measurement of physical quantities, is one of the most important operations in engineering. Every quantity is measured in terms of some arbitrary but internationally accepted units called fundamental units, right. All the physical quantities met with in engineering mechanics are expressed in terms of three fundamental quantities, that is your length, mass and time. So, next is a derived unit. So, derived units are also expressed known as derived in the velocity, acceleration, pressure. These are the examples. Means once you get the length, like length maybe it's in meter, like time it's in second, right? Mass is in, like you can say, kg or newton. So like after getting the fundamental units, so you can go like velocity, like you will get it from speed, right? So then comes, like we will see what is a scalar quantity, what is a vector quantity, right? Like speed is a scalar quantity, then when it comes to velocity, then it changes to vector quantity. So we will see what is a scalar quantity, what is a vector quantity. So when you have the units for measurement, then in the world each country follows different standards in measurement. Like you can say in India we will use meter for measuring the length, second for time, and for weight we use kg. Like if you go to the shop, you buy some rice, he will give you in kgs, right? Like the liquid, when you want to buy oil, kerosene, they will ask you how many liters you want, right? So the basic units which we use here are these units, general units. Same way, like imagine you went to US or some other western countries, there they will ask you, like they will not measure in kg, they will measure in pound, right? They will say like how much is the weight. Then in India you will say my like I weigh 50 kgs, 60 kgs, right? There you have to express it in pounds, like this much pound, like that. So nothing like if you want to imagine, then like 1 kg tends to like I think 2.2046 pounds. Like you can imagine, pound is much lesser than our kg, because 1 kg it stands to 2.2 times of another unit, so this one is less. So like we can say, like this is the relation between your kg and the pound. So likewise, when we deal with the subject, there you will use the force in terms of newtons, right? You will not use in terms of kg, you will use in terms of newton. So like we can say, like if you want the relation between kg and newton, you can imagine like 1 kg tends to like 9.81 Newton. Right. Then comes the system of unit. So depending on the countries, there are different measuring units, but internationally, like there are lots of engineering projects which goes on international level, like many different governments, countries, they work together on some on projects. So there you need some unified, or you need one code of conduct which can be which we can use throughout the project, right? So seeing that the SI unit was introduced, so there are usually 4 types. The first is the CGS, the second is the FPS units, the third is MKS, the fourth is SI unit. So CGS usually denotes centimeter, this is gram, and this is second. Okay, so like this is the length unit, this is the weight unit and this is the time unit, right? C for centimeter, G for gram and S for second. So this is 1 unit. Then second is the FPS unit. So like I said, in US the FPS unit is used. F for S for second, P for pound and F for foot. So we can see in CGS unit centimeter was used as a basic unit for measuring the length. Then in FPS it changed to foot, means feet. Then weight, it in CGS it was gram, the basic unit, but in FPS you can see it is the pound. Then you can see second is same in all the units. Like for time, the basic unit is second. Then third comes the MKS unit. So M stands for meter, K stands for kg, that is kilogram, and S for second. So you can see the length, basic unit of length is meter, the basic unit of weight is in kg, and the basic unit of time is in second, right? In India we have the standards of weight and measure, or we can say the Indian standard, IS, Bureau of Indian Standards, which decides the codes and the standard for each and every object, or you can say each and every field. Like in civil you can say you have IS code like 456 for concrete, right, plain and reinforced concrete. So likewise for each and everything, for pen, for mobile, you will find IS codes. Like if you buy any electronics or any gadgets or anything you buy, behind the label you can find it is like tested and passed by this standard, so that they will be given the code like IS clause which code. So those all specifies the standards to which it has to be passed, right? So next, okay, we will see some examples for like derived units. So derived units, like you can say density. Density is measured in kg per meter cube. Then force is in Newton, pressure is in Newton per mm square or Newton per meter square. Then work done is in joules, that is Newton meter. Then you have power in watts. Okay, now we will see what you mean by a scalar and a vector quantity, right? Scalar quantity is that quantity where only the magnitude is enough to express that quantity, right? Like example is mass, right? Mass, then volume, then energy, then money. Money like in currency, like you will say it's 50 rupees, it's 1000 rupees. So just one quantity represents the characteristics of that material. So one quantity is enough to define it. So in vector quantity, like you need at least two quantities to express one unit. Like a vector quantity is that quantity which has both magnitude and direction. Example is like displacement, velocity, acceleration, electrical field, right? These all units you need both. Like example I can give you is a force. Force is a vector quantity. So when you are saying force, you need to tell the magnitude of the force, like it is 10 kilonewton, 20 kilonewton, what is the magnitude, and then you have to notify the direction on where it is acting. Like if you see this point, so from here it is acting tensile, because when it is coming towards the particle it's compression, and when it's moving away it is a tensile force. So you can say there is a tensile force which is acting towards the right of 10 kilonewton. So here the direction and the load or the intensity, both magnitude. So magnitude and direction, both quantity is required to correctly identify the force. Okay, next we will see okay, we will start with the laws of mechanics. We can see the fundamental laws of mechanics are usually the Newton's law. So we will see Newton's first law, second law and third law. It's just a revision. So Newton's first law is also called as law of inertia. A particle originally at rest. Okay, now you have to know what is meant by a particle. Like rigid body, I have told you, rigid body is that body where you don't consider the deformation or the stresses which is produced in that object. You assume it to be rigid, means it will not deform after the application of load. Example is a chair, wooden chair. So in wooden chair, when a person sits, it doesn't deform, it's stable, right? So you can say it is a rigid body. So likewise, when you say a particle, what do you mean by particle? Particle, like you can say there is two things to be noted. First is the size or the area, and second is the mass, right? Like particle, it usually doesn't mean that which is something small, but when you define a particle, you need to see the reference, means according to which reference you are denoting something, right? Like you can say even earth is a particle, even some object like calculators, any object is also a particle. So with what reference you are identifying it is important. Like when you say earth is a particle, you can see our solar system, it's very huge. So comparing to our solar system, our earth is very small, like tiny particle. So you can say like earth is a particle in that condition. And when you say like a object is a particle, so you can say according, like when object is kept on a table, so according to the area of the table or according to the boundary condition, that object is very small. So finally what you are doing or you are assuming in a particle means you are neglecting the size. You are neglecting the size or the volume or the area of the object, but you are just considering the mass to simplify the problem, right? Like a satellite is revolving around the earth, so you can consider it as just like a particle, and with the orbit you can denote it like a particle in orbit, right? Then it will be easy for you to do the analysis. So that is particle. So a particle originally at rest or moving in a straight line with constant velocity tends to remain in the state provided a particle is not subjected to an unbalanced force. Usually example, like you can say the object, like if there is a table, right? So that the table will be in rest unless you go and push it or any external force is applied to it, it will be in that position always, right? Even you can see, like if you throw a ball, you will see it will go in a arch format. It will first travel, then it will go down down down, like when you throw a ball or something, it will go in a projectile, you can say a projectile motion, right? Because here you have like the gravity acting on the object, on the ball, plus the resistance of the air sorry, to the path traveled. So suppose, imagine if you are throwing the same ball in the space, right? So with like imagine you have thrown it with a 10 kN force. So the object will travel continuously in straight line, it will travel with 10 kN force, right? Unless it is acted by any other force, it will not change its path, it will still tend to travel in its intended path. So that is the first law. Then the second law of motion states that a particle acted upon by an unbalanced force F experiences an acceleration A that has the same direction as the force and magnitude and is directly proportional to the force. It's a very famous equation, you can say F equal to ma. So what it means, like imagine a particle and you apply a force to it. So the particle is moving, then you apply a force on it, so it will increase its speed, it will increase its velocity along the same direction in which it was first traveling, this direction, with some the increase is in acceleration, right, change of the velocity. So you can say this mass, the object will have some mass. Okay, here there is mass and there is weight, right? There are two terms, mass and weight. So you have to know you have to know the difference between mass and the weight. So mass, you can say, like according to its density, right? According to a density of the material which is made. Like example, if you are holding a pen, right, and if you are same dimension you are holding a steel pen and same dimension you are holding a plastic pen. So you can see which will be more heavier, obviously the steel pen, because steel has more density than the plastic. It means the molecules which makes up the steel are much more closely packed than the plastic. So automatically its mass will be much more greater than the plastic. Then when you say weight, then weight it is acted by the, as we can say, small g, that is the acceleration due to gravity, acceleration due to gravity, that is 9.81 meter per second square, right? It means like example, you can take off Earth and the Moon. You know the Moon's gravity is 1/6, yes, it's 1/6 of Earth's, right? It means in on surface on the Earth, if you jump with a force, imagine you jump by 1 meter, with some force you try to jump and the distance traveled vertically is 1 meter, and with the same force you jump on Moon. So you can imagine you will go 6 meters with the same force, right? So the gravity which is acting on the object, so each and every object, the gravity is pulling it, each and every object which is there on the surface of the Earth towards its center. So that value it changes, like towards the equator it changes, towards the to the pole, like north south pole, towards the pole it's more, towards the equator is less. So the weight it will change according to the gravity. So this 9.81 is an average, right? You can say it's an average, like the basic reference is from sea level, right? Mean sea level, we say MSL. So from mean sea level you measure it, right? Then so the difference between mass and weight now you have come to know, okay, but the mass will not change, like if the mass of this pen will be same in the earth as well as in the moon, the mass will not change but the weight will change because the gravity constant will change according to the place. So now we will come for the third law, that is Newton's third law of motion. So Newton's third law of motion states that when two bodies interact, they apply force to one another that are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction. This is known as third law. It means if you are standing on the surface is rigid, means if you don't cave in, you are still standing on the surface. Imagine if you are weighing 60 kg, so the 60 kg force is exerted on the surface where you are standing. So the earth, what you will do, the earth will exert an equal and opposite force towards your weight, right? So if this is the weight, so the earth will again provide an equal and opposite reaction to the weight caused. So that is the Newton's third law, means action and reaction, right? Equal action and equal reaction. Okay, now next we will see what you mean by principle of transmissibility. The principle of transmissibility states that the point of application of a force, so where the force is applied, right, the point of application of force can be moved anywhere along its line of action, right. So line of action is shown in the red dotted lines, means on which line it's acting, right. Like you can see here, it's inclined, so this will be the line of action. You can see that in dotted lines, this will be the line of action. So this force is a line of action like this force is a line of action like this, it will just continue. So this force is a line of action like this vertically. So force can be moved anywhere along its line of action without changing the external reaction forces on the rigid body. Any force that has same magnitude and direction and which has a point of application somewhere along the same line will cause the same acceleration and will result in same moment. It means when you analyze this object considering the force to be acting at this point like this in this condition, or if you analyze the same object keeping the same force, you are not changing the direction, the line of action is same, right. So instead of pointing it here, now you are pointing it in this point and the direction is same, you cannot change the direction, it will be along the line of action, the direction will be along, it will be always along the line of action and it will be of same magnitude. So the law says, principle of transmissibility, either you analyze the force keeping at this point or at this point, it will always cause the same acceleration and the same moment, right. So same way you analyze the force keeping at this point or at this point, it will cause the same rotation, it will cause the same rotation, the magnitude will be same of the moment caused. So that it means principle of transmissibility. In short, you can say you can move the force according to your convenience at any point and until it is along the same line of action, right? Until it is along the same line of action, you can move the force anywhere convenient until it is along the same line of action. That is principle of transmissibility. So, from next class we will continue with the system of forces. Thank you.